welcome back to the competitive Speed Series.
The absolute carnage on this final lap. 5 red lights here in Miami. Can they regain that place?
I cannot believe my eyes.
Who comes out on top? Down the inside into Casio Triangle. This could end in disaster.
So Zach Miles taking the lead. It was an all-or-nothing approach for the TF10 team.
And this could be crucial for NBR.
A race to remember with Jeremy Gallagher.
And they are officially the champions of the season.
It does not get closer than that. What a race. What a season. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a little while since we last went racing. I say a little while, it was only 7 days ago. But hey, it feels like all the time in the world, especially with Christmas right around the corner. And, well, what a chaotic week it has been. And, well, a new season has begun. And it begun in brilliant, brilliant fashion here. And once again, it is the lovely Frost alongside me tonight. Firstly, how are you, my friend?
Very good indeed, and just like last week, I'm quite hyped and ready to get going once again.
Yeah, it's really good. You know, it's been a pretty good week for pretty much everyone, unless your name's Sergio Perez, at which point you are probably bricking it for your seat. But there is no doubt for any of these teams of losing their seat at the minute. And, well, after a great first round, it was FER who were top of the standings. I'm just putting them in because I've only just been sent them. But, give me 2 seconds, and have a look at the standings here. FER on top, 60 points. Good start to their season. TF10 in second, ET8 third. Very close between those two. Only a point separating them, 38 to 37. And then one of our newest additions, Thomas Unger Sim Racing, there in fourth. So really strong showing from a lot of teams. We mentioned obviously at the time, AMR, strong start to the season for them. It's been a good start to the season for quite a few teams, and I'm really looking forward to getting underway for the second time tonight.
Me too, and the big difference with last season is that this time FER has gotten out of the starting box really well. Last season round they struggled, and that's where ET8 managed to win the first race with then Mark Schluter, who was racing for them back then. He's now racing for TF10, and they are currently second in the standings, once again proving themselves to be potentially the main rivals of FER. However, this time they only have a 1 point advantage over ET8 and 11 points over TES. And of course, since it's so early in the season, everybody still's got a shot. The most surprising team, I think, at the bottom of the standings is currently TTM, because they had a disastrous race last week, hadn't they?
Yeah, it was a really difficult race for them. And just to remind you as to where we are in terms of our calendar, is the second round of 12, and it may not have been the first race of Ideal for TTM, but hopefully they got a better chance tonight. It is Spain. It's a great circuit. You can get some overtaking quite nice and easily with that long straight, and you've also got a couple other opportunities through the lap. But I think hopefully TTM will be looking to bounce back. We've gone from quite a difficult circuit, you know, walls very close and extracting the lap time quite difficult. It's difficult to extract lap time around Spain as well, but slightly easier. The wall's not quite as close, so hopefully, fingers crossed, less mistakes for TTM. But qualifying is pretty much about to get underway. Who are you expecting to look in good form tonight?
Well, the top three teams will certainly be in on it again. But I think we saw last week a few surprises. AMR being very quick in qualifying especially. Not as great in the race though. And this week, TTM have brought Lighty again. And Lighty, we all know, is an extremely quick qualifier. Has a little bit of tough luck in races sometimes. But, you know, he can be up there. So I'm glad that they brought him, because if somebody can put them back in contention, it's Lighty for sure. He's teaming up with Nando Moreira, I see there. In the second drive for the TTM team. So they're looking quite strong once again, and let's see if they can turn that into a proper performance at this time round.
Indeed. Well, I'm just waiting for everything to sort itself out on my broadcast. It seems like it has now. My game seems to be a little confused. I've not got timing tower on the left-hand side of my screen. I'm a bit... Ah, there you go. I've sorted it out, ladies and gentlemen. Let's take you trackside. It is qualifying, getting underway now. And, well, 18 minutes ahead of us. And it's going to be a good 18-minute, hopefully. So let's have a little look. Who's going to be first out onto the circuit? Well, 610 Lundhart is one of the first. And you see Bogdan Moldavon has already left the session, so he may have disconnected there. Who's the first driver out on track, though? Is it Mark Schluter? No, it's not. I have no idea.
It's Ivan Santamaria, actually. One of the RB drivers, a very familiar name, and we've also seen one of the TF10 drivers serving the qualifying ban they've received from last round. Lennart Dekkers, a very obvious Dutch name right there, has retired for the team, and that means he'll be sitting out qualifying. Mark Schruter will be taking on the team in qualifying, and that means they'll have one car starting from the back. That's not ideal, but you know, rules are rules and penalties are penalties, and they've got to serve this one tonight. Now, thankfully, it's in Barcelona. A track where overtaking is definitely possible. So let's see where he can go from the back of the field as we see Ivan heading towards the start of his first and proper hot lap.
Indeed, yeah, and this lap is really important, getting this first banker in. We mention it pretty much every time we go racing. That first banker lap is what really gives you that ease of mind and allows you to push and attack a lot more heavily. So they're going to play it quite cautiously, I think, on this opening lap. As you can see around the circuit, the sponsor boards have returned, and well, that is not the only thing that has returned for the very first time this season, but through Sector 1 goes Ivan Santamaria. Sorry. I am going to be terrible with these last names, but into Sector 1, it's not looking like a bad Sector 1 at all. Calm, conservative, it's exactly what you want for the first opening lap of your qualifying session.
Yes, indeed. And if anybody can be calm and conservative, it is this man. He's been very consistent. Been a little bit of a struggle for him last few races, not only in this series, but in the league that he's participating in as well. As he heads through the middle sector, he saw already a little bit of a wobbling moment there coming out of, I believe that was turn 8 or 9. As he ends sector number 2 with a 50.237. The McLarens are right behind him. Pretty much everybody except for 4 or 5 cars have started their hot laps right now. One, of course, of them having been retired. As Ivan Santamaria comes through the final 2 corners. And then let's find out what the Spaniard can put on his home track right here. DRS wide open across the line. It's a 1:11.151 with the McLarens coming across the line next. Let's see Jeremy Gallagher 1:11.1 as well. His teammate Tristan Derbicourt 1:11.4. Teammate of Ivan, Victor Whitler, 1:11.1. Everybody's putting in a 1:11.1. And the fastest right now, pipping Ivan to the line, is FVR's Alexi Cavero. Once again, the championship leaders and the title holders looking very quick until Lighty came across the line, and then followed by Marcel Pabst, the Austrian there for ET8, putting on a nice show for his team with a 1:11.0. But look at that, all the way down from 1st to 7th is about a 10th of a second. That's really, really close.
Yeah, really close start to this qualifying session. Brilliant to see, because that's exactly what you want in this sort of you know, qualifying session. You know, positions can be made up by the smallest of margins, and you see Ivan and 610, identical lap times. Ivan said it first, he gets that position, but great to see just how close it is between these drivers. The fact that we've got drivers tied, that is not something that happens all too often. I'm noticing that we've got Victor Garcia, who is on a lap at the moment, on a decent lap as well at the moment. So hopefully he can take himself quite nicely up the field here as he's offset himself a little bit. He will come around the final bend now. What can he manage to set in this qualifying session? 19th with no lap, up to 16th. So maybe not quite what he would have wanted, but a lap time on the board nonetheless. And now Bogdan Moldavon, he was going to be the next driver to cross the line, but he's invalidated on his lap. So he will come into the pit lane, no doubt, at the end of this one. But first lap's pretty much underway. And we've just got Marco Gurkic, who's beginning a lap time now.
Yeah, both ABS drivers have waited a little longer than the rest. Marco Gurkic is the first to start, both of them. Drax is still on his way in the other side, where he's actually at the end of the track, while Marco is at the start of it. End of the first sector, 21.645. I'm trying to actually click on the timing table here in my telemetry to see how quick that is compared to the rest. Let's see there. The Sauber. Oh, it doesn't really work properly yet. Oh well, Marco Gurchik going through the middle sector as he goes through turn 9 at any moment now. Then flat out once again, DRS wide open. Let's see what he can bring at the end of sector number 2. Only 4 or 5 corners remaining after this one. 50.3, not too bad at all. According to the game, that is a purple first and second sector. But we're going to have to find out whether that is true or not. Just 2 more corners to go once again, as everybody else is pretty much in the pit lane. Ivan and Jeremy have come out quickly, like several others, as Marco Gurchik goes across the line to put it in 1 minute 11.435. That is less than 4/10 away from pole position. It's only good enough for P14.
Yeah, pretty crazy. The margins are so fine at the moment. Next to come across the line is Marco's teammate Drax, who is coming around those final couple of ends now. What can he manage to do? Sectors aren't looking too bad. It's not looking brilliant, but it's not looking terrible. 18th, but 6.5 tenths off. You know, it's not the worst in the grand scheme of things when we look at this. It looks a lot better. Looks a lot worse, sorry, than it is in reality. And we've already got the second lap times pretty much here. And it's Ivan who once again leads the way.
Yeah, he's on a roll, isn't he? I mean, I probably thinks he thinks this is my home track. I've got to perform here, and he's definitely performing. He's currently on tie with Sixten Lindhard from FVR, and this time he's going to try and take pole position. He's less than 1/10 away from ET8's Marcel Paps, and NLR looking strong this season. They were the champion in season 3. They were beaten by FVR last season, and now it looks like both teams might be in a fierce fight for the title. 48 milliseconds quicker through Sector 1 is the Spaniard, as he is really pushing hard. One of the Williams car there moving out of the way. That is Carlos Galindo for TES, currently 9th fastest on the timing table at the moment. But there, of course, are still many lap times to come. Ivan once again struggling there through turns 7 and 8. It's a difficult part of the track to get right, of course, as he now goes onto the back straight right there. DRS open once again. Middle sector is going to be a 50.293. That is slower than his previous attempt, but it looks like he continues on pushing for his team. His teammate Victor Whitler is still sitting in the pit lane, waiting it out for the proper moment to go out there and get a lap in. Ivan, though, is he going to be satisfied? No, he isn't. He was half a tenth up on his own time, and he decides to bail out as the Williams is actually going to start a hot lap right there. That is Carlos Galindo.
Yeah, we got a few drivers on a lap time at the moment. Trying to pick up who's going to be next to come across the line. Tristan de Herbecourt is a driver to keep an eye on. He's not doing too bad at the moment. He could be about to take himself quite far up the order as Marcel takes it to the top of the timesheet. Tristan improves by 2 tenths. That's not a bad improvement at all. Goes up to 8th place there. Who is going to be our next driver to come across the line? We've got, that's Aaron Ramirez. What a lap time from him there as he goes all the way up to 2nd, and Mini Jake not selling this lap time. So I believe the next driver to come across the line now is going to be Carlos, who's currently down in 11th place and improving by 1/10.5 there, so that could take him up to the lofty heights of about 3rd or 4th at the moment. So a good final sector could be in order for the TES man as he comes around those final couple of bends here. Only 14 turns of this racetrack. Used to be 17 until they removed that pesky chicane, and across the line now up to 2nd. That is a brilliant lap time from Carlos. 2 tenths improved, 1 tenth off provisional pole. Not a bad lap time at all from Carlos there, who slots into 2nd for Thomas Unger Sim Racing.
Victor Whitler next across the line, but he's actually starting this hot lap, and I think most drivers have actually completed it at the moment and trying to find somebody who's currently going fast. Elku certainly isn't, sitting in 14th at the moment. Bogdan Moldovan has already finished his lap, moved away from last place up to 13th. That means we're going to switch our attention to the other NLR driver of Victor Whitler properly, as he finishes his first sector with a 64 millisecond head start on his own previous lap time of a 1 minute 11.190. You can see that already. With this improvement, he would already be up to P6. That is the lap time of his own teammate. Faster than that already. So that is how close it is at the moment. He looks to be very smooth through turn 7 and 8, or 8 and 9 right there. as he goes onto the back straight, as his teammate is just a little bit ahead of him. He's not going to give him a tow right there because that's not working with collisions off, of course, to prevent the overpowered slipstream use. 86 milliseconds up through Sector 2, so he's looking quite strong. That's still at 1 minute 11.1, but it will be good enough right now for P5, but certainly he's going to find a bit more time, so P4 or P3 might still be possible for the man in the RB. Where is he gonna be? It's actually second place, less than a tenth away from provisional pole, but so far, Marcel Paps is still the only driver with a 1 minute 10.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job at the moment there. He just really got such a good lap time in, exactly where he needed it. And it gives you a lot of ease and peace of mind when you're in that good place, because now he doesn't have to worry about where he is. Next to come across the line is Drax. He improves marginally, but doesn't, only gains 1 place there from 19th to 18th. But half a second separating first all the way down to 16th. That is mental. That is absolutely mental.
It's also a little bit of the characteristic of this track, isn't it? Of course, it's short, it's fast, there's not many very difficult corners. The only place you can really mess it up, I think, is turn 7 and 8, and perhaps turn 11, where some drivers tend to go very wide, as Jeremy Gallagher invalidates his running hot lap at the moment. Ivan Santamaria has crossed the line once again, does not improve. That's one of the Haas cars next to cross it. One of the Ferraris right there, that's Nando Moreira going up to P4 for TTM. That is exactly what they need, as Marco Gurci goes to P15. Many drivers now finishing their hot laps right there, as Marcel Paps is actually starting his. Let's see who else is to cross the line to set a lap time right there. No, they're all starting it at the moment. I'm currently following Marcel Paps. I'm wondering if he can actually improve to go even faster, and he's still the only driver to be on a 1 minute 10, 1 minute 10.937 to be precise, but half a tenth slower at the moment through Sector 1, as it's quite busy out there with all those ghosted cars. They will not really hamper him, but they can definitely distract him if they are too much in the way, which means you can still get penalized for impeding a hot lap despite yourself being able to be driven through as he goes through turn 9 as well. Let's see if he can find some time through sector number 2 then, as he aims to improve his lap time even more. What's there? No, he's going even slower through sector 2, so I wouldn't be surprised if he bails out and goes into the pit lane to conserve his tires for the last and final run, because there's only 5 minutes remaining. The Austrian then doing a really good job at the moment for his team, as Carlos Galindo is still sitting in 3rd.
Indeed, next to come across the line, I believe it is Aaron Ramirez, who's on a decent lap time, but comes into the pit lane, not worth setting, comes in, opts for a new set of tyres, but wasn't looking bad at all for him as he comes into that pit lane. He's 5th at the moment, so not doing a bad job at all. Bogdan Moldavon next across the line. He's 13th for the moment, jumps to 9th. Not a bad lap time at all from him. And I believe we'll see Tristan de Herbecourt, and the Mercedes doesn't come in. Believe they're beginning a hot lap there. I think that is Aleski Kovare, who's just began a hot lap. No, I think they've finished and got up to 7th there. So not a bad lap time from them. And everybody on the circuit at the moment, I think, is coming in on an in-lap. And, well, the next driver to come out at the pit lane should be beginning those final runs. And I'm not going to lie, Spain is one of those circuits, those final runs, I don't know what it is about them. They are just so brilliant, these final runs here. Everyone seems to take it up to just a completely different gear. And it just, the pace that they unleash is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, everybody on this grid is within 1 second of provisional pole position. Victor Garcia is currently sitting in a last qualified position, a 1 minute 11.0 or 7:00 precisely right there. And Bognan only has 1s in his lap time right there. 1 minute 11.111. I quite like that. In fact, he's 1 millisecond quicker as well than the driver behind him. So it's all about 1s, except for the first position right there for him, as he tries to aim to go even quicker than that and gets closer to his teammate. Because ET8 right now are looking just as strong as teams such as FVR at the moment. AMR has got a bit of a mixed bag right there, with Aaron Ramirez sitting in P5 and his teammate David Martinez in 17th. EVE are kind of in the back at the moment. ABS is kind of disappointing right now, as we saw one of their drivers last week fighting for the win in Australia. Right now, Marco Gurchik and Drax are struggling a little bit. In Spain, VRM only 12th and 13th. I'm sure they're going to have to bring some more to the table, but then again, even they are still very close to provisional pole. And now the waiting has begun. Which driver is going to come out first for their final attempt?
And why will it be Ivan, who's been out first on all of the runs so far in
I
qualifying?
wouldn't be surprised, yeah. It isn't actually. Wow.
Who is first out? Is that David Martinez? No, it's not. It's his teammate Aaron Ramingos. I would have thought if it would be anyone out first onto the circuit, it would have been Martinez. The reason being, he needs a good lap time here for AMR, more so than his teammate does. So I don't understand maybe why they wouldn't have sent Martinez out first, just to give him a bit of extra buffer, so that he can cool off and go again if he needs to, because at the moment he is not maybe where they'd like to be, but Aaron Raminga's leading us away on these third and final runs here in qualifying, and with just 1 minute 50 to go, everyone should be able to make it out to the line. You would have thought they may have to take a slightly faster out lap, especially those who are just leaving the pit now, but that is only, I think that's Jeremy Gallanier who's heading down towards the end of the pit lane now, and you've got Victor Garcia there as well, who I think disconnected and hasn't.
Yeah, he left a while ago.
So he's not got back into the lobby yet. But Aaron Ramirez about to kickstart our third and final runs. He's got just over an attempt to find. Can he do it? One final dance for Aaron Ramirez here as he'll come up to the line to begin his third and final laps here. He's looking to try and get into the 1 minute 10s. No one's managed it other than Marcel Pabst at the moment. But if anyone could do it, Aaron Ramirez, who was really one of our standout performers last time out, he could absolutely do it as he tackles Sector 1 here. And, well, as you go up towards that Sector 1 timing line, what will it be for Aaron Ramirez here? It's not improving, but it's not far off at all.
No, right behind him, both ETA drivers, Bogdan Moldovan going about a 10th quicker, Marcel Pabst. I missed his lap time, unfortunately, but of course, as you said, first across the line is going to be Aaron Ramirez. There's plenty of Spaniards driving on their home track tonight, and this is one of them, alongside David Martinez and Ivan Santamaria. Victor Garcia will not be able to rejoin qualifying in time, unfortunately, to get a lap time in. Aaron Ramirez through Sector 2, 31 milliseconds, which should bring him somewhere close to the top 3, if not definitely in it, if he finds some extra time in the final sector. But of course, everybody else around him is still going on a hot lap as well. Let's see then. Aaron Ramirez through the final corner. What's he going to do across the line? Is he going to give AMR a provisional pole? No, but he gets awfully close. The second driver to go into the 1 minute 10s. Bogdan Moldovan gets into P3. Marcel Pabst goes too wide and invalidates his lap. This is the chance for everybody else to try and take that pole position. Can Lighty actually do it then? Yes, he can! 1 minute 10.858, and he puts TTM on the front line for now. Let's see, can anybody go even quicker? Nando Moreira to cross the line. TTM has got a 1-2 in the bag all of a sudden. Out of nowhere come the Ferraris with an incredible performance on the final run right there. Marco Gurchik goes into P13. There's one of the McLarens right there. That is, I believe, Tristan Debecourt stays in P14. Several other drivers crossing the line. Drax going into P17. That's one of the RBs right there. It's Victor Whitler, I believe it was, stays 8th. Ivan Santamaria stays 11th. Jeremy Gallanier then, no, he goes into P10. And that means it is a front row lockout from the team last in the standings.
Yeah, really interesting. Yeah, I mean, Lighty, absolutely brilliant lap time. Nando Moreo, I caught the end of his lap as well. He was on a brilliant lap as well. Really interesting as well is FVR. They're leading the championship. You've got 610 in 5th. That's okay. Aleski in 11th. That's not what they would have wanted at all. But exactly as you said, the team last in the standings, locking out the front row. That is a huge response and a huge bounce back from this time last week.
Yeah, I'm truly impressed by that. Look at that. Lighty and Nando Morea for TTM in first and second. Marcel Paps invalidated out of the final corner. Might have gone even quicker than that. He stays with that first lap time in P3. Then Aaron Reming is fourth. Sixth Lidar P5. Mark Schluter for TF10 and P6. Bogdan Moldovan P7. Whitler P8. Galindo P9. Jeremy Gallonier in P10. And the rest of the field looking like this right there, of course, with Lennart Deckers, who's actually German, starting in last place for TF10.
Yeah, really interesting qualifying there. We will obviously have our usual lobby restart, but really interesting, that qualifying session. A lot of surprises in that I wasn't necessarily expecting. I mean, I definitely wouldn't have been able to call or even remotely predict a 1-2 from the team last in the standings at the moment. Obviously, we've had one round, so you know how representative of that is of their true pace. Take from that what you will, but a real good response there after a difficult first race.
Yeah, incredible, isn't it? I'm really looking forward to what they can do with these two positions in the race. Like I said, Lighty tends to be involved in quite a few incidents. Quite a few of them are actually his fault. He usually tends to stay out of trouble as much as possible. Just the incidents, he's like some sort of an incident magnet. So I'm curious to see if he can actually turn it around this time and bring TTM some proper points alongside his teammate Nando. We've got a tentative start right here. As many drivers try to retire as quickly as possible for the lobby to get underway again. Of course, a custom grid has to be made. I believe everybody is supposed to stay in this lobby. So let's see if they retire quick, and then we can get underway again. Yeah, FVR, a little bit disappointing. TF10, of course, they have got an Achilles heel with Lennart starting from the back because of a qualifying ban. So the top teams potentially in trouble. I think from the top teams, Byron, ET8 has done best on average, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, ET8, 7th and 3rd. I think they'll be quite happy with that. Obviously, Bogdan Moldovan, he was a little bit lower on the grid, and he managed to pull that off quite well to get and recover up to that 7th place that he is. But yeah, definitely. FER, definitely not quite as happy as they'd want to be. NLR, I think, would have wanted a little bit more. I think the same goes for TF10 and obviously Thomas Unger Sim Racing as well, with one driver 9th, the other 19th, Victor Garcia, obviously not being able to get back into the lobby. So we've got a real interesting scenario. We've got drivers out of position. It always brings up a few surprises, Spain, and this is no exception.
No, it looks like it took some drivers a little while to retire. But they've finally done so. Nando announcing that he needs to restart his PC to get things fixed. That reminds me, actually, we've had a patch earlier this week, which caused a lot of frame issues for many a driver and many a commentator as well. I'm not sure about you, Byron, but for me, thankfully, the game is perfectly fine. It's running perfectly smoothly.
Yeah, it's smooth for me as well, but yeah. Really interesting. Yeah, I saw that come out. At least photo mode's fixed. That's music for my ears, at least. It means my life's a lot easier when it comes to various things. But yeah, no, we'll be getting back underway very shortly. I think looking at kind of what we've got in terms of our grid, you could really throw it any way. It's about what teams can do. Can they put in that recovery drive that they need to? Especially if you're looking at Thomas Unger Sim Racing or ET8 and even FER. Obviously, they'll got a bit of a recovery to do. Can TTM shock the world, I think, a little bit as well, and dominate into this race? They're in a real good position to do that. We saw this last time out. When a team gets 1-2 on the road, their strategic options open drastically. And they're in a really good position to capitalise on that, TTM. They could take a real healthy haul of points that jump them all the way from 10th, possibly up to, you know, the likes of 4th, 3rd, 2nd. They're probably not going to get first, but anything's possible, you know. So, really interesting, TTM. Absolute mission from them, and such a good response, and they've got a lot of options going into this race, and with this strategy, you know, it can really swing any direction, so they're going to be well equipped for pretty much whatever gets thrown at them, so it'll be interesting to see what they manage to do in this race.
Yeah, while I said that overtaking is relatively easy on this track, it's slightly more difficult if you've got a team at the front who can work together and just make their cars as wide as the entire track, basically, on the main straight especially. Just towing off one another, making sure at one lap Nando is in the lead, the other lap Lighty's in the lead, because, you know, it doesn't really matter for the team who is in the lead. As long as they've got a driver in that first position, they are perfectly fine. And all they need to do is make sure everybody else behind them stays behind. Nobody on the other teams is on the same row. ET8 have got a driver, as we said, in 3rd and 7th, which is relatively close. Then AMR have got two drivers very far from one another. FVR even have got 2 drivers far away. TF10 have got it even worse. NLR not too far behind each other. TES, in qualifying terms, struggling. Of course, Victor wasn't able to put in the 2nd lap, but they too have got a big gap between each other. So it looks like they've got a lot of advantages, strategy-wise, position-wise. They've got the whole lot at the moment. Even in terms of pace, they're only 15 milliseconds apart in qualifying at the moment. Of course, race pace usually is a little bit different, and I'm curious to see which tires they're going to choose at the start of the race. And of course, do not forget that the weather is set to dynamic again for the restart as well. So while the weather for the actual race was going to be sunny all throughout, we might see a little bit of a different circumstance coming into the proper race.
Yeah, exactly. I think we've got like a real good race on our hands. Such a good grid as well for this one. I'm just keeping an eye on that YouTube chat, and I cannot lie, it is so great to see so many nice things being said. Someone's real life friend said that we should be the real life comms for Formula One.
Let's apply straight away.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good to see. In answer to the question of if I've done touring cars in real life, unfortunately not. I would love to step into it. I'm really here for it. I'd love to do comms in real life, but not very easy to do, and it's not very easy to get jobs in that space. They're very limited, but I do appreciate all the praise from all of you guys, and I'm sure Frost does as well. It's great to see so many of you as well. We've got an amazing amount of you here, even in this little lull between qualifying and the race. We've got 47 of you here right now, and I just think that's so good to see. It's always good when we've got loads of people here. If my voice sounds familiar, if you've watched PSGL, I'm pretty much there whenever someone's not. I get the call up. So but cheers, thank you very much. We are getting the ready up signal for the drivers. So we should.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, we should be getting underway quite soon, and I'm really looking forward to this one. We've got a real good race on our hands, and in case you have forgotten where we are going racing, here's a nice little intro video that I put together earlier just to remind you of where we are. Well, it is Spain. It is the 2nd round of the season. Season 5 is now firmly underway, and with a front row lockout for TTM. What can they do tonight? Welcome to Barcelona. Welcome to Spain. Welcome to the heart of racing. Hosted every race since 1988 has circuit to Barcelona and Catalonia. It will be moving to Madrid for 2026, but here is the track we're racing at tonight. 2.893 miles and 14 turns make up this circuit, with 2 DRS zones and plenty of opportunities to overtake. Plenty of drama too, as we've had incidents all the way across this lap. Turn 1, turn 4, and plenty of corners. In fact, pretty much every corner around here has had an incident or two over the years, but what incidents and history can we make tonight? And that is really what we're looking to do. Make that history and make the best racing we can. But in a moment, we'll be taking you trackside, and in fact, we can take you trackside now. It is time to get our racing underway, put on those setups, get that strategy in order. We've got a race on our hands, and it is going to be on our hands very, very soon.
Yeah, and very soon you're going to have a poll on your hands in the chat as well, because which team is going to take that coveted win here in Barcelona? Can TTM remain in the 1-2 position they've received in qualifying, or can any other team do something about that? They're going to have to find each other on track, though. They're going to have to make their way through the packs, especially TES and TF10, who are currently sitting second and third, respectively, in the standings, or vice versa, from the top of my head. They're only 10 points apart anyway, which is really not a big amount at the start of this season anyway. Strategy-wise, it really depends on the weather. If it stays dry, I wouldn't be surprised if we see once again a little bit of a mix in terms of tire choices. Some starting on the mediums, others starting on the hards, going long, and then switching to a faster tire by the second stint. Maybe somebody's going to be daring and bring some soft tires to the table. I mean, you never really know on how desperate some of the teams are going to be to make up ground ASAP. But it's 33 laps. It's going to be a long one indeed. One of the longer races in terms of amount of laps on the calendar indeed, as we wait for the lights to go green officially.
Indeed, and I think this race is really going to be quite something. We've got a lot of talking points here, drivers out of position, teams a little bit on the back foot, but also unlikely surprises in the form of TTM. We are just moments away from lights out. We are really looking forward to this one, and I hope you are at home as well, as do get your predictions in the chat. The poll has just gone live. Who will win tonight? TTM, ETA, AMR, or another team? Get that in the YouTube chat if you do think somebody else is going to win tonight, but my money is on TTM. They've had a great qualifying. They're trying to bounce back from that first time. I'm going to jinx them, and I feel...
You're supposed to be
I was going to say, yeah, we're going to jinx them. Hey, but we've got to get a prediction in ourselves, right? We've got to give them...
True, yeah.
Yeah, so who are you picking for the win tonight?
Well, I've got a history of jinxing the driver team, whichever I pick, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut for tonight. In fact, we're going to have to get going on the way right now. The 5 red lights are coming on. Can they keep a 1-2, the Ferrari TTM cars, as we get underway for round number 2 here in Barcelona? Let's see what they can do. Sixten Lindart with a good start as he passes Aaron Dominguez already. Nando Moreira trying to fight off the Mercedes, and the Aston Martin right there. Is there going to be a disaster? No, tiny bit though for TTM, as they've already lost their 1-2. Nando Moreira has been demoted down to P4 already, as Marcel Pops and Sixten Lindhardt have made their way past in the first corner alone, so that's promising for those teams already. Everybody else seems to have taken a nice start of the line already. No major incidents just yet, some bumping here and there, as I can see many drivers have chosen the hard tires. Whoa, there's one of the Aston Martins. I believe that was Bogdan Moldovan. Indeed it was, as he sinks through the order, nearly going down to last position. Some carbon fiber flying here and there, and Sixten Lindhardt is already putting on the pressure to Lighty as he started on the medium tires. One of the few drivers actually to have done so. Only 4 picked the medium tires at the starting ones, and Sixten is putting on all the pressure on Lighty here in lap 1, as he's all over the back of the Ferrari right there. In fact, Marcel Pops, actually Nando Moreira under pressure from Aaron Dominguez as well for that 4th position. Not the start the second TTM driver was after, but so far so good for the drivers in the front of the field.
Indeed, but look at Sixten here. He's going to absolutely be on the back of Lighty here. He's already made the move into turn 1, and that is just the advantage from the mediums to the hards. It's in the swing of Sixten at the moment. He's got the tyres up to temperature. He's in a good place with the grip. He's going to have more grip than those hard tyres, and soars past Lighty for now, but it will come back to Lighty later in the stint, and with the strategy likely as it is, it's going to be a medium to hard or a hard to medium is probably the likely strategy we will see, and Lighty will have to do what he can to try and get that place back when he can. Aaron Dominguez though, very close to the back of Nando Moreira, whose confidence seems to have taken a bit of a knock following that incident all the way at the start, where he got a little bit squeezed, but Aaron Dominguez having to do more looking behind as Carlos Galindo there gets up into 5th place, and Aaron Dominguez has to fall down to 6th there. So a good start so far for Sixten Lindhardt, not so much so for TTM, but FER making up crucial places that they need to. The 6:10 fastest lap of the race, but EVE all the way down at the bottom at the moment. Got a bit of work to do in this one.
Yeah, definitely. Both of them out of the points. Leonard Deckers have made it 4 positions since race start, as Victor Whitler and Ivan Santamaria swap positions for Victor to go in the top 10. You can, yes, as you said, you can see those medium tires working brilliantly at the moment. And Ramirez didn't really fight the Williams right there. In fact, he actually does not try to fight Alexi Cavero either, as he gets passed into P6 right there. Aaron now down to 7th. In fact, there comes Marco Gorchik as well, trying to get past the Haas, but he gets squeezed a little bit as he tries to go around the outside. But thankfully, wisely from him, he decides to slot in behind for now, because turn 7 definitely is not a place to overtake. Especially if you got the long run in mind on those mediums. They've got to last. There goes Carlos Galindo again. He's going to have to go around the outside of Nando Moreira. This time Nando is not allowing to get them past as easily, but this is a good opportunity though for Alexi Cavero as Nando defends feistily against the Williams. It's the Mercedes that tries to slot through as he takes 1 car and 2 cars, as Nando has to force himself behind the Mercedes for now. There's a bit of a gap now between 3rd and 4th, but there's still DRS for the Mercedes as he sets the fastest lap once again. There's a bit of position swapping going to happen again. Carlos Galindo versus Aaron Ramirez. Aaron's trying to go to run the outside, but thinks better of it, knowing, oh, there's some leg there, I believe, from Nando Moreira as he gets teleported backwards, literally, and he's in trouble once again. Now he's down to P6 by no fault of his own. He was defending P4 there for a moment, and now he's got to defend against Marco Gorchik, who tries to go around the outside of Aaron Ramirez and the Ferrari, but he's only getting 1 car done at a time, and now he's going to try and get past Nando right there as the fighting for positions there heats up really quick.
Yeah, it's looking really good at the moment in this race. Overtakes being made quite nicely, and that's exactly what we want to see. We're going to get a lot of moves, I think, in this race, and a slight difference in strategy for some drivers is really going to be a little bit in terms of surprise. But you're already seeing Lighty isn't exactly falling off the back of 610 Lindenhart, so you see that DRS really helping here. It's worth about 7/10 of a second a lap. DRS around here if you have it for both straights. So that's why you're seeing 610 not really pull away from Lighty behind the TTM, who started all the way at P1, but Nando Moreira, he's fallen quite a few places so far in this race. As you see, everybody go down that straight. No moves really being made across the field on this particular time into turn number 1. But you see everybody close up, get really close to one another, as nobody really wants to make an overtake at this early stage. They're just trying to consolidate that pace and manage the tyres as much as they can.
Yeah, Victor Whittler and Jeremy Gallonnet, out of all of them, being very close to the driver ahead. In fact, Marco Gorchik does it again into turn 5, his favorite place to overtake so far. And this time he does get past the Ferrari into the top 6. Alexi Cavero is still on a roll, and very soon we will no longer have the TTM 1-2 we had at the start of the race. We'll have an FVR 1-2 if Lighty isn't going to be careful right there. But I believe the Ferrari man is playing the patience game, something it turns out he's really, really good at, and he knows when to defend and when to attack and when to let a car go. In fact, what's he going to do here? He knows that if he lets him pass here, both of them will lose a lot of time, so he stays ahead for the time being of the second Mercedes. Alexi Cavero is on an absolute flyer. He started, I believe, in P number 11. Yes, he did, and he's already up to P3, so he's rolling really, really fast for the time being. Is he going to make the move right here? He's getting closer and closer as Minjake leaves the session. Oh, Lighty, in fact, has to go on the offense to go defensive at the same time, and he stays in between both Mercedes. We've got a Mercedes sandwich with a Ferrari in the middle right there. Quite a lovely sandwich indeed, as Marcel Papt is still under pressure from Carlos Galindo right there. He is not yet getting past just yet, as the TS driver is trying to see where his teammate is. In fact, Victor Garcia struggling in 18th place. There goes Carlos Galindo again on Marcel Pabst. The Austrian struggling, getting pushed a little bit to the outside, but the TS driver does get past up into 4th place. So far, medium tires dominating, but that will not take forever.
No, absolutely. They will start to fall off soon. But yeah, Aleski doing a really good job at the moment, taking advantage of that softer compound tyre. And this is a strategic choice from FVR to take that slightly more aggressive tyre, use that bit of pace earlier on in the race, and then they'll have a slightly slower tyre towards the end, but they should then be able to do a little bit of defensive work. And FVR, they're not known for sloppy defence. They really do have a really stern defence as Aleski sets his sights off the back and on to Lighty here, as Lighty has to take the attack on 610 Lundhart. Otherwise, he would have lost that place altogether. As they go side by side up the hill, this could end in disaster. It always can end in disaster if you go side by side up the hill. We've seen it before. Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg collide here. Both of them out of that race in an absolute instant, but taken very clever and very smart by the pair of them. And Lighty just doing exactly what he needs to keep Oleski behind by being offensive in exactly the right moments. This is being played really well by Lighty at the moment, but it's a case of how much longer can he hold off Oleski. I don't think it's a case of if, I think it's a case of when.
I wouldn't be surprised if it remains a case of it, because there goes Light. He is actually going to harass Sixten for first position right now in the hopes of putting him a little bit there. In the meanwhile, Marko Gurcik is still being hampered by Marcel Pabst, as Marcel is absolutely not going to give up. Right behind them, Nando Moreira is fighting with Mark Schluter for now P8 as he started on the front row. Now he's just hanging on by a little thread of the top 10 right there. Struggling big time, more and more, a little bit of lag here and there going on. Lighty remaining in second place, but there he goes. This time he's going to take the lead, and Sixten allows Alexi to get past, as he knows he's got no choice, because Alexi's got the faster pace, and he had his his rear wing actually wide open to get past the now X-Rays leader. Nando Moreira then starting to fight back, now up into P6. Marko Gurcik, his fight with Marcel hasn't paid up. He's back down to P8 already. His favorite corner is coming up right now, but this time he's going to have to try it around the outside against Aaron Raminges, and Aaron is absolutely none of it right there as they head towards turn 7. What's Marko going to do? Of course, he's slotting in behind for now, but there's fights happening everywhere on the track at the moment, and it's still anybody's game. Lap 8 out of 33. It's Lighty right now leading from both FPR drivers, with Carlos Galindo and Marcel Pabst in tow for the top 5.
Yeah, this battle is really looking quite good. Lighty back up into that P1 spot, and I think he's going to be quite content with that, because he's got a difficult hand at the moment. He's having to do a lot of work here to try and maintain this place, and he's doing a phenomenal job at it. You really can't fault the work that the TTM man is doing at the moment. And yeah, really strong, as Oleski obviously takes that P1 and 610 takes P2, but there wasn't much Lighty could do. No DRS, so limited options, but I'm sure he'll be right back on the attack as soon as he can, as those mediums will start to go off quite soon, I would have thought.
Yeah, you saw Lighty desperately trying to keep Sixten behind, because he knows as soon as they get ahead, the both of them, they can control the field, and that's what happens right now. Lighty had no choice but to let them through, as he had no DRS on the main straight. No chance at all against both Mercedes, and now instead of a Ferrari 1-2, we've got a Mercedes 1-2 with Alexi and Sixten in first and second position. Meanwhile, Lighty is getting harassed by a Williams with the Mercedes engine as well. So Mercedes, wherever you look, is dominating no matter how you want it. And Lighty is doing all he can. He cannot count on his teammate at the moment, as Nando is still behind Marcel Pabst, but slowly but surely regaining some confidence and some ground against the Austrian right there. You saw him gain a little bit of time through the corner right there through turn, 12. Gaining a little bit of time, but he's going to be too far back right there to make the move, but he's got to make the move happen right now. Otherwise, his teammate is in trouble. There they go again, P1, 2, and 3 fighting. There's Lighty trying to get past, but look at that. That's the control that FPR are going to put on every driver behind. It's what TTM wanted to do with their qualifying position, but they can't. And now Lighty's in trouble from Carlos Galindo, who now in turn is going to try and harass the FPR drivers. The both of them now having to defend against the blue and the red car. They go 3 wide in the corner. How long is this going to go? Well, Lighty has to desperately try. The only driver in the top 4 on the hard tires, and he manages to stay ahead of Carlos Galindo right there, but somehow things have still gone without any damage to any car whatsoever. In fact, it has allowed Nando Moreira to get really close to Marcel Pabst. When is the move going to happen again? There comes Carlos Galindo. No, he's a bit too far back right there. But there's Marcel Pabst with a mighty dive on the Williams. A little bit of a look there, but not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, really having to bide his time, Marcel Paps. He knows that his pace is getting stronger versus those medium compound tyres, but FER really do have control of this race at the moment. We saw there, side by side there, but a mistake there from 610 on the exit as he got a bit of a rear end snap. This is not going to help when they have to think about now. They've got to try and either make the swap, they've got to decide what they're going to do. 610 takes P1, Aleski takes the less optimal line, so we'll get a compromised exit up here and up the hill, but they've done just enough there as Nando Morea is now ahead, and Marcel Paps looking like he could have lost the place to Aaron Raminguez. However, he has now lost that place as they go side by side. Aaron Raminguez alongside Marcel Paps and Nando Morea there, and loses the place to Marcel Paps there as now we head up and onto that second DRS straight, and the action is so close. No driver well, all the way down to 18th. Everyone's within a second of each other. That is really, really good to see. EVE, they're just having a difficult race here, but really looking quite good here as Bogdan Moldavon, Jeremy Gallanier. I think Tristan is having a bit of a problem there as he loses quite a few places. But Jeremy Gallanier got ahead of Bogdan Moldavon. But onto the straight once more. FER likely to swap once more.
But we can now see the hard tires coming to life compared to the mediums. Lighty's now starting to put on the offensive. Carlos Galindo is doing everything to get past right there. Several cars ghosting through turns 1 and 2. They're all going side by side, 2 wide. And I'm nearly going 4 wide right there. What are they going to do? Where are they going to go? Nando Morea wants to get past the Williams now. Because, well, look at that. Everybody's ghosting. There's some lag going on. I'm not sure if that's on my end only, but there's definitely some cars ghosting through one another. In fact, it's now the FER drivers going side by side. Not sure if they want to do that, as they're going to slow down everybody and making those gaps even tinier. Mark Schluter, that is TF10, the rival of FER, is making up ground as well. He's moved up to 7, and there goes Marko Gorchik. He suddenly found himself at the back of the field, and there goes Marcel Paps as well. Oh no! No longer, no, but this is a disaster for ETA. They first had Bogdan and Moldovan slipping, and there goes Lighty. Is he gonna take the both of them? Well, that certainly is a daring move. They're getting pushed to the side of the track, and suddenly everybody is fighting for first, all the way down to 9th place, almost 9 wide, you could say, right? Look at this group of cars going everywhere. Where are they gonna go? Is there going to be any major incident? Carlos Galinos on the inside, but the inside, he's pretty much mowing the grass there, the Williams is, and there goes Alexi Cavera to 4th, back to 3rd, to every single position he's seen so far on the track right there. It's absolute chaos at the front of the field, and Lighty is laughing as he slowly drives away from the pair of them. And there he goes. He's managed to do it as the medium tire is starting to die off rather quickly. Mark Schluter finds himself in P5 out of nowhere pretty much. And look at that, Ivan Santamaria harassing Nando Morea for position as well. The TTM drivers just can't get together anymore, as now Lighty leads and Nando Morea is in P7.
You're muted on stream.
Okay, cool. I was muted. Lovely. We love that. Awesome. So, as I unmute myself, turns out I forgot to unmute myself. FER 2 and 3. Lighty back up into the lead. He's doing a good job at the moment. And I've really, it's good to see Mark Schluter trying to do what he can as well. I think Lighty's now in a position where I don't think he's going to get really challenged from FER behind.
No, in fact, FER is going to be challenged from behind by themselves, as Mark Schluter is closing rapidly. Carlos Galindo is somehow holding on with those 13-lap-old medium tires. I won't be surprised if the pit stops are going to happen really, really soon indeed. In the meanwhile, Team NLR are driving very close together. They are currently in P8 and P9. They can control a little bit of the field as well, especially the midfield right there. And we can already see two medium tire drivers pitting. That is in fact Alexi Covero and Carlos Galindo going for a quite early pit stop and the undercut right there, attempting to get ahead of this Ferrari driver who's leading the race still. Lighty is doing a fantastic job. Nando Moreira now up to P5. TTM doing all they can to get back together. So let's see what's going to turn out right there. Mark Schluter now all over the back of the Mercedes. He nearly went for a move. He had a certain thought about it into turn number 5 right there, but not happening just yet as Marcel Pabst is now the fastest of the lot with fresh mediums, but he is at the back of the field, unfortunately.
Yeah, really difficult for Marcel here. He's probably hoping for a safety car here to try and get back into this race and get back into the mix. But Lighty in the lead at the moment quite comfortably as well. He's kind of can control this race. You expect to see 6:10 at the end of this lap, I would have thought. Because those mediums are definitely really struggling here, and we can see fresh tyres are definitely the way to go, is exactly that 6:10 into the pit lane, which means Lighty leads the field, followed by Mark Schluter and Aaron Raminguez, followed by Ivan Nando Moreira. Then you've got Victor Widler, but a change for the lead, Mark Schluter taking the lead now. But I think maybe a bit of a strategic play here, so maybe Lighty can recharge the battery. After all, he has had a lot of an onslaught from the FERs who've put a lot of pressure on him, so I have no doubt his battery is probably not looking too healthy.
No, and now it's crucial for these drivers in the front group to work together to make sure they lose as little time as possible to those who've already swapped to the hard tires, because they know those drivers are going to have a bigger gap if they're going to fight amongst themselves. So it's crucial right now for TTM, AMR and NLR to work together along with the drivers slotting in behind them at the moment. Bogdan Moldovan for ET8 is starting to make up ground again to get back into those front positions as he is going for make a move, I think, on tracks. He had a look. No, he's not getting past just yet. Mark Schluter still leading. Oh, there's a bit of an incident right there. I think Jeremy Gallagher had a bit of an issue as he drops down to P9 and he's now just ahead of his teammate. VRM having a bit of a mediocre race at the moment. They're sitting in 9th and 10th. That is, of course, with those pit stops having already happened from the medium users at the front of the field, meanwhile, and they are doing exactly as I thought they should do, swapping positions, working together as much as possible as they swap positions again. Lighty now leading the race from Mark Schluter. Aaron Raminguez, Ivan Santamaria has made up a lot of ground as well. Nando Moreira is still sitting in P5, and I think, yep, already one of the hard tire users in the name of Elku has decided to pit for fresh mediums, and he's going to go for a long run on those.
Yeah, really interesting, but trying to get the undercut on those on the same strategy makes sense, but EVE, they're not necessarily too in the mix here in this race, so they've got to try something to get in that kind of place where they could do something. So fully understand why they're doing that, but I think for the rest of the field, for most of the field, except for maybe those slightly further down like David Martinez, you got Leonard Deckers, Victor Garcia, maybe the VRMs as well, I would have thought we might see come into the pit lane just a little bit earlier, get the undercut, and hope they can hold those places off towards the end. But Lighty continues to lead. We expect that to change as Victor Widler, first driver into the pit lane, Jeremy Gallagher and Victor Garcia. So yeah, mostly the drivers further down, taking that gamble as Mark Schluter retakes the race lead and continuing to work together, TF10 and TCM.
Yeah, you can see the difference. A few laps ago, they were all fighting. They were going 5, 6, 7 wide into turns 3 and 4, and right now they're just having an easy time breezing past one another, just staying in line. Only the leaders are swapping positions, the rest is just patiently waiting behind. Some drivers are going to attempt an undercut to go on the mediums quite early, although with 15 laps to go, I think right now is a good time to switch to those tires. Victor Widler for NLR is definitely going to try it out. Jeremy Gallagher, you called it perfectly right there, Byron, has gone in as well. Victor Garcia as 2. But right now, Victor Whittler, 2.4 seconds behind Carlos Galindo. He's going to have to make up that ground rapidly to make sure he stays with potentially the top 3 right there. You can see battery lights in the meanwhile flashing at the front of the field as they all charge their batteries. Which car is going to go in next? Let's find out. There comes Mark Schluter about the final 2 corners. He's staying out for another lap. What's Ivan going to do? He stays out. But there goes Anendo Moreira for TTM for those medium tires at lap 19 out of 33. Let's see how that's going to play out for the Ferrari team.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is probably a good point in the race to pit, especially with Nando Moreira. 1 lap of undercut could be worth about maybe a second or so. So that could be a place or 2 on the road. So it makes sense for Nando Moreira to do that, especially when he's definitely in the mix here. He's just had a little bit of unluck. I don't think he's necessarily had the rub of the green that he may have wanted. But you see there, Victor does get that place versus Nando Moreira, and 2.2 seconds the gap between those who pitted early for the hards and those who've just pitted for the mediums. So, you know, they've got a couple of seconds to find, but it's definitely not out of the question. I think the mediums, the hard mediums, sorry, is definitely the strategy to go for, unless those who've gone to the hards, bearing in mind there's only 3 of them who are kind of in contention for the race win, they're going to have to do a lot of defending, and it's going to have to be a real defensive masterclass. And I expect we'll see a couple more drivers into the pit lane here as Lighty, your race leader, comes in, followed by Mark Schluter, Aaron Dominguez, Ivan Drax. I believe, I'm not sure if 610 is your provisional race leader, so where will he come out in all of this? Presumably ahead of the field, but quite far ahead of the field. Aaron Dominguez, you know, he's going to definitely come out probably behind, I would have thought, Jeremy Gallagher, Bogdan Moldavon probably. I would have thought that sort of area, but 610 Lindhart takes the lead. Actually, no, Carlos Galindo does, actually, as he pitted 1 lap early. He got that advantage. So TS leading the way. FVR 2 and 3 with Nando Moreira, Jeremy Gallagher, and Lighty, your top 6. So looking good at the moment. 14 laps to go.
Interesting. I mean, the gap has now shrunk to 1.2 seconds with Nando Moreira now leading the group. Lighty has just come out of the pit lane, and Nando Moreira tried to do everything to make sure Lighty got ahead, but it didn't quite work out. We saw him slowing down a little bit, and the rest of the field really wanted to get past, but Nando Moreira is now the lead car for the TTM team right there. Lighty's behind Jeremy Gallagher, and Jeremy, thanks to his relatively early pit stop, has allowed himself to get into the mix for the race win. So from the midfield, the VRM drivers doing an extraordinary job with a strategic masterclass, I have to say, to get himself into the mix to win it. Because when you have DRS, it's very difficult to get driven out of it. And look at that. Speaking of DRS, Nando Moreira has dragged the entire field all the way down to 17th. Up to the top 3, and now we're going to find out whether those hard tires are going to hold out against the mediums, which are much more fast at the moment, with the fastest lap of the race being set just there by one of the medium drivers. It's FVR 1 and 2 right there, as Carlos Galindo has been moved out of the sandwich, and only now we see our first penalty with David Martinez. We see a yellow flag a little bit at the back of the field. Couldn't see who it was. But only now, Byron, the first penalties have been handed out. So they've been doing a very good job of being consistent right there.
Yeah, really been a good race. And I mean, this Nando Moreira has done a brilliant job here. He's done exactly what he needed to do the moment they came into the pit lane. It was his job to really catch up. Lighty, that's a real detriment to TTM in this race, that 3-second time penalty. Will we see any tactics played like we did last time with FVR as they tried to secure a 1-2? They weren't able to do it on that occasion, but we'll see what we can do. But Nando Moreira, he's done exactly what he needs to do. He's put in a good lap. He's got this entire field onto the back of those race leaders, and I don't see why those who are on the hard tyres now aren't just going to slip back more and more between now and the checker flag here, as Nando Moreira is looking to try and make a move up into get into that top 3. Not able to make it here. Gets a little hit on the rear from Jeremy Gallagher, and now they head up their hill. And the hard tyres runners doing what they need to try and do, which is defend as hard as they can, as Nando Moreira trying around the outside at turn 4. It's not going to work for him. It does work for him. I didn't expect that at all. Down the inside there into turn 5. That was brilliant from Nando Morea to get up into 3rd. And that's the moves he's got to make between now and the checkered flag as Jeremy Gallagnier gets that move up into tries to make the move, loses a couple places in the process as he, I think, got shown the door a little bit there. And now Lighty trying to respond to that penalty by getting himself ahead of Carlos there. He does. So it's FVR 1 and 2, TTM 3 and 4. Really interesting at the moment.
Finally.
How long do FVR last, though? It's going to be difficult.
Finally, I was about to say, TTM are back together in 3rd and 4th position. It's Mercedes versus Ferrari for these final 11 laps of the race. As Carlos Galindo had no answer to both Ferraris. There they come into turn 1. Who's it going to be in the lead? And then Moreira tried to snatch 1st and 2nd at the same time. He couldn't do it. Sixton is doing all he can to keep the Ferrari behind. But now he has got to yield and allowing Lighty to go side by side with him and his own teammate. What's going to happen then in turn 4? It's getting quite close altogether. Jeremy Gallagnier decides to throw himself into the mix as well. Carlos Galindo tries to come back at the McLaren, but there goes Sixten Lindhardt. He almost went back into 2nd place, and now he's got another Ferrari on the outside. Nando is boxing in the Mercedes as they did to him a few laps ago, with Carlos Galindo helping out there as well. This boxing up strategy for the Mercedes team has worked no longer. And now we see them in 1st and 3rd. The Ferraris up to 2nd and 4th place as Ivan Santamaria gets past Bogdan Moldovan. The NLR drivers once again back together, or are they? Because Bogdan is not giving up just yet as he manages to stay ahead of the RB driver for the time being. But the true fight for the win, dear viewers, is at the front of the field. Mercedes versus Ferrari. Who's going to come off best? We'll know in 10 laps time. Or could anybody else, any other team, pull off a surprise?
Yeah, well, Nando Morea, Aleski Kovaro had no defense there as it now falls to a 2-4 as Lighty now tries to go around the outside of Sixten Lindhardt around turn 3. This is absolutely bold and brilliant from Lighty here to try and get up into the podium as they go side by side through turn number 4 now. This is looking like an absolute battle for the ages, going side by side into turn number 4 as they go down the hill. Jeremy Gallagnier, he's ghosting a little bit there as he loses a little bit of places there versus Carlos. But Lighty up into 3rd and doing a really good job now. And now he's got one man to overtake. And then it is once again a TTM 1-2 as it begun all the way 24 laps ago in this race. But I don't dare say it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Lighty to make the move on Aleski Kovaro, because he will have DRS on Nando Morea, who leads the way as we head on to lap 25 of 33. We've got 8 laps to go in this one, and it is still all to play for, especially with Lighty's penalty on the table as Aleski Kovaro back up into 1st.
There he goes indeed. Behind them, Carlos Galindo having to defend against Mark Schluter, the German, really trying to push through, but he still can't get past the Williams right there as Carlos remains in P6. Jeremy on the inside of the corner right there, now harassing Sixten Lindhardt. FVR in a little bit of trouble right there, but he's getting saved by the fact that they're getting attacked from behind as well. Mark Schluter now trying to get past Jeremy Gallagnier. Can he do it on the inside of the corner? He somehow manages to do it. The Frenchman leaving enough room for the German right there as Carlos Galindo shuts the door hard on Ivan Santamaria. Ivan will definitely not appreciate that one right there, but Carlos really wants TES to score some decent points, with Victor now the points as well. Minjake getting out of the session for the 2nd time right now, and his race is definitely over. Well, there comes Ivan Santamaria with a mighty dive on the Williams. He really wanted to get past. In fact, Carlos getting passed by another person right there, of Aaron Ramingas, who was fighting for the win in the 1st stint. Now he's fighting for P8 as he gets back into the mix, potentially for a top 5 right there, as we head onto lap 26 already. Nando Moreira is gonna get back past Alexi Cavero to retake the lead, but Lighty's gonna try and make a move on the Finn as well, and the Alexi completely allows it to happen. TTM back in control for the first time since lap 1. They are leading 1 and 2 despite Lighty's penalty on track. At least they can now try and control it again.
Yeah, exactly. TTM in a real ideal spot here. I think what they've got to try and do, though, is they've got to try and do similar to what FVR did last time. They've got to try and stop those places, see if Nando Morea can drop the gap enough so that Lighty can try and build up a gap, try and get that to 3 seconds. If he can, it's going to be really difficult. But if they're able to, that could really be quite good. To get a 1-2 would be really useful for TTM in this championship. At the moment, they're last, 0 points to their name. To take a good points haul today would mean the absolute world to them and jump them up that championship and into contention. No doubt about that one. But Aleski Kovaro will be doing what he can to try and ruin the party here for TTM at the moment. As now we head on to lap 27. We've got 6 laps to go, and this is going to be 6 absolutely nail-biting laps as a change for the lead. Lighty in front, Nando Morea into second. Does Nando Morea start to back off now? That is what I want to know. We saw it last time out in Australia. Could we see it tonight? I'm not too sure. I don't think TTM maybe have the confidence that FVR did in the strategy, and given it didn't play off and play out well for FVR, will it do well for TTM? I'm not too sure, as we see Jeremy Gallagnier having to battle there with even once again over P6 and P7, fighting Hara and Tong here. But with 27 laps in, 17 drivers all within DRS range of one another, it's still absolutely crazy here.
Yeah, and I think that is exactly the reason why Lighty can't get away from Nando. Nando will not be able to back up the field because that will create absolute chaos. And the DRS here is so powerful that Nando will be absolutely swarmed if he gets more than 1 second behind his own teammate. And that will harm TTM's chances for a good result even more. Right now, they've got the lead of the race no matter what. Even with Lighty's penalty, Nando is leading once they cross the line, and there they go, swap positions. That's what they have to do. They have to control the field right now. They have to keep FVR behind. They also have to hope that Mark Schluter will get a bit more into the harassment scenarios right there against the Mercedes cars, because look at that. He's been harassing Sixten Lindhart for several laps right now. That is what TTM needs at the moment, but FVR is playing a beautiful job, because every time, whoa, there goes Jeremy, nearly onto the grass. Defending against Ivan Santamaria, losing out badly. The Frenchman now dropping to P8 and Ivan up to P6 as Jeremy bumps Aaron into the next corner. Bogdan Moldovan making up a place as well as Carlos's tires appear to be quite dead already. 30 laps old hards. Shouldn't be happening yet. They might have been overheating because of the overdriving he's been doing. Back to the front though. Oh, yellow flag at the back. Tristan Derbicourt, a little bit of a moment I think. Mark Schluter, though, harassing FVR as much as he possibly can, as he knows his team is the main rival of the leading champions.
Yeah, it's really difficult at the moment. At the moment, Lighty, with his 3 second time penalty, will fall down to about 11th or 12th here. So really going to hurt that 3 second time penalty here. As now we head on to lap 29. Lighty retakes P1, and now Nando Morea is having to battle here with Aleski Kovaro. Mark Schluter trying to battle and get up into 4th place here, get himself ahead of Sixten Lundhart as they go side by side up the hill, but can't quite make that place there as he tries to try and go around the outside at turn 4. He makes that move up into 4th as they still continue to go side by side as they go down the hill. This is what you want to see. Good racing, good hard racing now as Ivan has got a nice run down the inside there, makes the place up. Lucky to not make more contact there, but both lose quite a bit of time.
Yeah, you saw by Sixten defending that he really didn't want Mark Schluter to get past, because now they've lost control over the leading pack. Sixten has been demoted down to P6 as he bumps past Ivan Santamaria. Ivan will not be too happy with that move. They've made contact in turn 7 and 8, and now they've made contact again in turn number 10 and 11. We see Jeremy Gallagnier dropping down fast. He's had an incident, and VRM find themselves out of the points all the way down in 16th and 17th. The nightmare is complete now for McLaren. Not sure what happened right there. It happened a bit too quickly. I didn't see it, Byron. Did you see it?
He just went round there on the exit of, I think that was on the exit to turn 11. Just went round, really unfortunate. But not much he can really do there, unfortunately. I think I was just saying, oh, there's a Williams in the wall. Who was that? That's Victor Garcia there, who went into the wall. I'm not sure who he made contact with, but that was, whatever that was, I think it might have been Bogdan Moldavon. That's a nasty incident. Definitely going to the steward's room, that one. Because I just saw that in the background there as they were heading up the hill and towards turn 4. And, wow, that is not going to be many happy drivers there after that incident. But now, here we are, lap 30 of 33. Lighty in second, Oleski Kovarov third, Nanda Morea, your race leader. Mark Schluter wanting to get in the mix here and see if he can get onto the podium here and ahead of a hard tyre runner. He absolutely can as he makes the move there on the exit of turn 11. That's a lovely move.
Yeah, Lexi had struggles coming out of the corner badly. I saw him oversteering twice in a row, and then Mark Sturgeon was like, thank you very much, I'll happily take that position from you. Now I'm in the podium places, and now I'm going to harass TTM in turn. There goes Mark Schluter on Nando Moreira. He is alone, but he's doing a fantastic job. Starting from P6, now all the way up to second place. FVR once again back together, but then 4th and 5th as Bogdan retires in the pit lane. It's only the first retirement this race, and in the pit lane, no virtual safety car, no proper safety car just yet, but some incidents are starting to happen as we get to the closing stages of the race. It's TTM still in control of the race with 1 and 2. Lighty with a penalty right there. Mark Schluter in between the two fighting teams for the win. What can he do on his own?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. He's not really got anyone to kind of back him up here. He's just got to hope that FVR don't put much of a challenge in. Because if they can do that, and if FVR don't put a challenge in, he's got a good run to try and challenge TTM here, but at the moment it is not looking too likely for Mark Schluter to do too much, because TTM can kind of control this race as much as they want. As Tristan de Herbecourt, 3-second time penalty, he's all the way down in 14th, so won't make much impact on his race. It will just take him outside of the points there. But Nanda Morea, Lighty swapping places once again. Mark Schluter not able to capitalize on that swap, as it's a nice, clean, orchestrated move from TTM. And now, an opportunity for Mark Schluter here into turn 4.
Yeah, there was a bit of pushing going on there. That allowed Lighty and Mark to slide a little bit as they came into contact. There is Ivan Santamaria out of nowhere, making his way up to 4th place. He's refound his confidence from 12 to what is now back to 5th. Aaron Ramirez finds himself back into the mix all of a sudden as well. It's still several teams in the mix to win the race. TTM having the best shot, of course. Carlos Galindo is making his way up the field. Alexi Cafero is suddenly finding himself in P12. He's lost all control of his car, all of his race pace. And FVR, while having a favorite there for the win, no longer are favorites to win it this time round. In fact, Sixten is now having to defend against Ivan and Carlos Galindo. Carlos trying to go on the inside. The Williams getting past indeed. FVR have lost it all. And now as you approach the final lap of the race, it is the game for TTM to lose. Mark Schluter can put his Red Bull right there, right in the middle of the Ferraris, as he goes and tries to go around the outside, but Lighty is certainly going to have something to say about it as they head into turn 1, and he retains the 1-2 for the team right there, on track at least. Aaron Ramirez finds himself with a shot for the lead as well, as he gets closer and closer to Mark Schluter. 3 teams properly fighting for the win right here. No pass just yet, and 1 more straight to go to get a move done. Victor Whitler getting past Rax, who finds himself in P9 all of a sudden. Then all of the chaos. ABS, a car in the top 10 as he gets past into P8 as well. And now, just a handful of corners more to go. It looks like Nando Moreira has certainly got his covered, as Lighty is backing them up a little bit to make sure they cannot get past at least Nando Moreira anymore. Mark Schluter, well, he doesn't really have to get past the Ferrari ahead of him, as he's got that penalty. There they go. Now then, 3 more corners to go, and TTM from 0 points in the standings right now, 10th and last. They've made the most brilliant comeback I've ever seen in this series so far. Even with the 1-2 not happening tonight, it is going to be a win for Nando Moreira for TTM, and Lighty gets dropped down to all the way P12, but it is still going to be points for them. Mark Schluter in 2nd place, and Aaron Ramirez does complete the podium here.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant from Nando Morea and, well, from Lighty as well. They really controlled the race today as much as they could. Every opportunity they had, they really did absolutely control the pace here on the road. And that's what they needed to do. They needed to do everything in their power to try and control the race, control their pace, and they did exactly that. Nando Morea, brilliant win, and what a way to respond. 0 points in the first race. Well, they take the maximum points there by taking P1. And 12 for Lighty. That's not bad at all. That's a couple of points as well. So I'm sure TTM are going to be absolutely elated. But what could have been had Lighty not have got that penalty? It would have been a phenomenal, sensational championship blasting result. But nonetheless, going to take them definitely towards the, you know, the middle of the pack. So good job from TTM. But really, I think the biggest disappointment there, especially right at the end, FVR, they just seem to fall off a cliff a little bit.
It's like they like sunk like some sort of submarine filling with water really quickly. Max is saying in the chat we got killed. Well, there might be some incidents here and there. Of course, we saw Jeremy Gallagher sinking through the field as well. Maybe they came into contact with him. But FVR, definitely not the result they were after. Only 5th and 10th. That is about the same position as where they started. For now, though, the final results are as follows, with Nando Moreira winning the race for TTM, getting them onto the scoreboard properly. Mark Schluter in 2nd place then for TF10, keeping them in contention as well. AMR with a good comeback too, with Aaron in 3rd position. TES having Carlos Galeno in P4. Then, of course, 6th and Linnard P5. Ivan Santamaria started 12th, finished in P6. But Drax will be the most satisfied out of all of them, I'm sure, apart from Nando, perhaps, as he goes from 17th all the way up to P7. Extraordinary job there by the Cyber to stay out of all the chaos. Victor Whitler finishing P8. Strong result for NLR as well. TF10 got another driver in the top 10 as Lennart goes from last all the way up to 9th place. Strong performance by him too. We didn't really see much from him, but there he is. Alexi Govero finishing P10, then Marco Gurcik, despite the incident, finishing in P11, then Lighty with a penalty P12. There's some discussion about his penalty going to be removed or not. Then Jeremy Gallagher with a spin at P13, Victor Garcia with it into the wall, 13th place, then Tristan Derbecourt in P15. Elku then just out of the points in 16th, Marcel Pabst 17th place, Minjake in P18. Then a bit of a reinstatement for David, I believe he should not be there in 19th, he should be in P15 I believe. Yep, there he is, just 1 point for him then, and Bogdan Moldovan retiring in the pit lane a few laps before the end. And that is the only retirement in the race. And I have to say, yes, it was chaotic. A lot of things happened. But the fact that there was no safety car or virtual safety car makes me say this is one of the cleaner races I've seen so far.
Yeah, it was a really good race, really clean, really fair. It was everything you really could have wanted out of this race, actually, because everyone seemed to really give it their all. It was a good track as well for the overtaking. We saw a lot of moves, obviously mostly into turn 1, but going side by side up the hill, that was not for the faint-hearted, and I really commend the drivers for doing that, because I don't think I could even remotely try or even manage that at all. But yeah, what a result for Nando Morea. And well, let's start the debrief on that race nice and quickly. Hopefully we'll get some drivers in for interviews, because it'd be lovely to hear from our top 3, because they just had such a good race today. Obviously Nando Morea, obviously the real standout out of this race. But yeah, really interesting. For some reason, your camera has disconnected. I'm not sure
it
if
has.
you noticed that. Yeah, your camera has disconnected.
Yeah. It's Elgato once again telling me that I should enable virtual camera while I have it enabled. So yeah,
love it.
Fascinating.
Wow. Indeed, fascinating stuff. A real good race as well. It was so good to have. I've asked our top 3. Anna Dominguez just went, I don't speak English. Sorry. I mean, fair enough. If you don't speak English, I don't think you're necessarily going to be able to have an interview, but hopefully we can hear from Mark Schluter or our other driver. So hopefully we can hear from one of them. But I think kind of we need to kind of almost recap on this race ever so slightly. What a race it was. Such a good race. Not an easy one for most of the field, but TTM, they capitalized fully on every aspect of this race. They really had the optimal strategy, the optimal pace. They had it all. They bounced back absolutely brilliantly.
Yep, it's, well, they nearly had perfect control of the race by the end of it. Of course, FER had it at the middle point and the starting point as well, as TTM lost out quite badly with Nando dropping out to 4th and even further down than that. But he's clawed back and he's done an absolute fantastic job to win the race either way. Yeah, unfortunately...
Got Mark Schluter.
Like Mark Schluter. Oh, yeah. I was about to say nobody's going to join us, but it looks like Mark is going to. So, yeah, let's drag him in here then.
Let's hear from him. Lovely. So, let's kick off the questions with Mark Schluter, who finished in 2nd place today. Mark, firstly, can you hear us?
Yes.
Lovely. So let's kick off the questions, my friend. A difficult race for TF10. You obviously had one driver in P9, coming all the way from 20th in yourself. You gained a few places there. Obviously, you weren't able to get the win tonight. Disappointed about that, or do you think this was the best you could have got?
After almost getting killed lap 1, I think it's still a good result after two second places now after in the first 2 races. So I think it's a good start for us. I still take the quali ban on myself because I fucked it up in Australia, but yeah, I think my teammate came through still good on P9 from last. Good effort from him, and yeah, I think maybe the win was there, but I think Lighty just purposely slowed down so I don't get a run on Nando.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously a bit of tactics at play from TTM. They bounced back and responded really well from their disappointing result in round 1. But obviously, for you guys, a really strong result. You were obviously 2nd in the championship going into it. I think you're going to stay there or thereabouts coming out of it. You know, how are you thinking about this championship? Is it too early to tell, or do you think it's on?
I think it's too early to tell. I mean, our main rivals are still FVR. I came in front of them both today. One got unfortunately taken out by a hiccup in turn 3, but yeah, I still think we have to take those chances when we can. So think it's gonna be between us and FVR again for the championship. Maybe if one team like TTM today gets 1 and 3 or 1 and 4, they can be a threat too, but we have to see.
Yeah, absolutely, makes total sense to me. Any questions from you, Frost?
Was it a conscious decision to let Leonard take the qualifying penalty?
Yeah, I mean, we were quite. I think I was slightly faster in qualifying, so it was basically who is the faster guy in qualifying doesn't take quali ban.
All right. Well, that's all from me, actually. I mean, Bayer, you've asked everything I wanted to know. So, yeah, great job, Mark. Well done amongst the chaos of FVR and TTM trying to do everything to work together. You were just there out of nowhere in the mix, and you claimed 2nd place, so good job on you.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe after post penalties, maybe it is a P1, but yeah, we have to see what the stewards will say about those cases.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Well, go and enjoy the 2nd place. You've really deserved it tonight. You had to really fight for that one. So congratulations, enjoy, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you next week.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, that was pretty much all she wrote then in terms of that race and that little debrief you've got there. We do have Nando Morea, who's jumped in right there at the death of it. No, that's who we were just speaking to. I'm just having an absolute mind blank there. There we go. No, Nando Morea is not the driver we've spoken to. I'm having a mind blank times 2. It's our race winner, Nando Morea. Firstly, can you hear us?
Hello, hello.
Lovely, we can hear you. Well, firstly, congratulations in order. Race win tonight, and obviously 12th for your teammate with that penalty of 3 seconds there. Had to work together quite a lot, but 1-2 in qualifying. Good result in the race as well. Was it ever in doubt for you guys in the race of getting a good result, or do you think it was always on the cards?
You looked a little bit, maybe it was myself. I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry. What did you say? Sorry.
So my question, just to sum it up, was it was a good race tonight. You obviously took. I don't even know what my question was now. I don't even know what my question
Wait.
was. Frost, kick off the question.
That's you.
Discord is having a bit of an issue for me, so it's
Yeah,
difficult
it's
to
having
understand
it's having an issue for me as well. I think Discord is having problems.
Okay, so it's not me then. All right.
No, Frost Breath,
all
I can hear
robots
you
now.
correctly.
Okay, so I'll take over that.
Sorry,
But
Byron.
no
sorry,
worries. Yeah, like Byron said, you made a 1-2 in qualifying.
Mhm.
Nando, you dropped down to 4th quite rapidly and then even further down. What happened exactly at the start of the race?
Well, it was it was a tricky start because the grip is so difficult at the beginning, you know. When the lights out was there, I have maybe the same start as Lighty, and then on the traction he takes small meters, and yeah, behind with the slipstream I was almost I was fucked, not gonna lie. I wasn't on the inside, I was sandwiched, so I had to back off if I wanted to continue the race. So yeah, 4th, very quick, so not ideal. And honestly, the stint on hards was terrible. I was sliding everywhere. It was very difficult to drive. I had a scare moment 2 times. I almost crashed it. And thanks to my engineer, we undercut. So 1 lap before almost everybody. So we managed to come back into the race finally, because I was far back. I was, I think, P6 or P7 before the pit window. So it was quite tricky. And then on mediums it was so much better. I was able to protect my tires, take good lines, able to push when I have to do it. And at the end, the win is also thanks to Lighty, because when he takes these 3 seconds, it was compromise for him. So if he had to do something, it was for me, I would say. And quite a surprising win tonight, because I don't think I was the fastest tonight, but the teamwork made it tonight, honestly.
Do you think the teamwork was the key to your victory tonight?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
I mean,
thought
that
as much.
makes total sense, right?
Yeah.
I think one question from me. Hopefully, you can hear me better now.
Yeah, better.
Lovely. Discord stopped having a funny 5 minutes, I think. The race from obviously a team's perspective. Obviously, last time out, you scored 0 points as a team. Is this a sign of things to come from TTM? Do you think that you can consistently put in good results like you have done tonight, or do you think this was kind of a very good result, but not something we can expect every race?
Honestly, we were. If you take last week, honestly, we were very unlucky, Lighty and myself. Last week we expected a lot better than what we did. I had bad luck at the start, front wheel damage, and I was not able to turn the car, so it was already over after 3 corners. And I completely messed up the quality. So I think in Australia I was able to start in the top 5 easily if I was able to just to put the lap. And Lighty was also fast in Australia, so honestly I think we can today we show that we are there as a team. Of course there is big teams like ET8 or FVR who are maybe the favorites, TS of course, my whole team. But honestly I think, as you saw quali and even in the race, the grid is so stuck, that's so close between everybody. So I think honestly we have a card to play, that's for sure. We completely messed up the first race. We should have taken the 1-2 today, but or at least a very good result for Lighty. So I really think we can do great in the future. That's for sure. That's why I came here. The project is very very important for me, and I really trust in it. So I really hope the best for us.
Okie dokie. Well, a one-word answer, yes or no, to this question. Is the championship on for TTM?
Of course, that's only the second race of the championship. Even if we had a bad start, as I said, the grid is very close. So if we take good decision, we keep calm. I mean, everything is possible. Of course, we're not the favorites, that's for sure. But we are there to win, that's for sure. And I'm not here to say we are going to finish P5 or P4 in the championship. Maybe it's going to be the case, but honestly, we are there to win. We won today, and I mean, we will see next week and the next races, but yeah, I'm confident.
Lovely. Well, fighting words. I'll let you go and enjoy the race win and all of that awesome stuff that comes with it. No doubt about that. But enjoy this win, and I'm sure we'll see you hopefully next time out when we head to our third round of the season for Brazil. So hopefully we'll see you there. But go and enjoy it.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for commentating.
Cheers. Thank you. Well, I'm pretty sure that is all she wrote for tonight's action. That is, well, it's been a pretty good, pretty amazing race. And as I alluded to, next time out, it is Brazil for round number 3. Then we've got Bahrain, a mystery GP, Austria, Mexico, Singapore, China, a further mystery round, Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia, then Abu Dhabi. Brazil, though, very good circuit for overtaking. I think we're going to have another phenomenal race there. And I think if tonight's action was anything to go by, we can absolutely expect that next time out.
Oh, definitely, yes. And yeah, I think there's still multiple teams with a good shot at the championship. If TTM keeps it up like this, they'll really have a strong chance right there. I'm looking at these standings right now, which of course are provisional. TF10 is still missing in that list at the moment. There's only 9 teams listed. FER is for now having a healthy lead over TES. I think TF10 should be somewhere in between them. So that means TTM is either 4th or 5th in the team standings for now. But we're going to find out next week in Brazil what they can do and what all the other teams can bring to the table indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it just as much as you are, Frost. But I think from us here at Competitive Speed Series, we've had a brilliant Spanish GP. We'll let you get on with your evening, but thank you very much for joining us. And until next time, when we head to Interlagos for the Brazilian GP in Competitive Speed Series, bye-bye.
Welcome back to the Competitive Speed
The
Series.
absolute carnage on this final lap. 5 red lights here in Miami. Can they regain that place?
I cannot believe my eyes.
Move up down on top. Down the inside into Casio Triangle. This could end in disaster.
Zach Miles taking the lead. It was an all-or-nothing approach for the TF10 team.
And this could be crucial for NBR.
A race to remember with Jeremy Gallagher.
And they are officially the champions of the season.
It does not get closer than that. What a race. What a season